All right, kids, so gather round. I'm going to read us a story today from a book called Tales of the Dervishes, teaching stories of the Sufi masters over the past 1,000 years. So a good reference here for some life lessons. And this story, I liked it because I've actually heard some of these conversations going on. I like the point of the story. I'm not going to say much about it because it's self-reflective, let's put it that way. So, a beautiful story about real spirituality. Two pious and worthy men went into a mosque together. The first one took off his shoes and placed them neatly side by side outside the door to the mosque. The second man removed his shoes and, placing them sole to sole, took them into the mosque with him. There was an argument among a group of other pious and worthy folk who were sitting at the door as to which of these men was the most holy. If one went barefoot into a mosque, was it not better to leave the very shoes outside? Asked one. But should we not consider, said another, that the man who took his shoes into the mosque carried them to remind himself by their very presence that he was in a state of proper humility? When the two men came out after their prayers, they were questioned separately, and as it happened, by two different groups of people. The first man said, I left my shoes outside for the usual reason. The reason is that if anyone wants to steal them, he will have an opportunity of resisting that temptation, and thus acquiring merit for himself. The listeners were most impressed by the high-mindedness of this man, whose possessions were of so little account to him that he willingly entrusted them to whatever might be their fate. The second man, at the same time, was saying, I took my shoes into the mosque because had I left them outside, they might have constituted a temptation to someone to steal them. Whoever had yielded to this temptation would have made me an accomplice in his sin. The hearers shook their head and nodded, yes, of course, and were very impressed by this pious sentiment and admired the thoughtfulness of this apparent sage. But yet another man, a man of wisdom, who was present, cried out, While you two men and your followers have been indulging in your admirable sentiment, training each other with the play of hypothetical instances, certain real things have been happening. What are these things? Asked the crowd. Nobody was tempted by the shoes. Nobody was not tempted by the shoes. The theoretical sinner did not pass by. Instead, another man, altogether different, who had no shoes at all to carry with him or to leave outside, entered the mosque. Nobody noticed his conduct. He was not conscious of the effect which he might be having on the people who saw him or who did not see him. But because of his real sincerity, his prayers in this mosque today helped, in the most direct way possible, all the potential thieves who might or might not steal shoes or reform themselves by being exposed to temptation. Do you still not see that the mere practice of self-conscious conduct, however excellent in its own realm, is a pale thing indeed when measured against the knowledge that there are real men of wisdom?